Hi, welcome back to another video. We are now going to look at initializing our SQL database and get it all ready to access within a program. So in our case, what we need to do is we're just going to create a simple database. It's just going to have one table, and that table is only going to have one column. So it's going to be absolutely as simple as possible. It's just a model on something that you can expand later on. But before we get into that, let's have a quick look at SQLite. What is it, and how do we utilize it? How do we set it up? So SQLite, as I've mentioned in a previous video, is actually included with Python, which makes it very convenient for us. It means we don't have to install anything. SQLite is already there. What we do need to install or prepare is Visual Studio Code. We need a tool or something that will help us manually sort of program the database without having to write a Python program every time. A couple of options here. First one I would say is in VLC. If you have a look in, actually, maybe I'll bring this page up. So what we're actually looking to do is install this extension SQLite by Alex. So I will just show what I'm talking about here. Extensions, and somewhere down here, SQLite by Alex. This is going to let us open tables, update tables, do everything with a GUI, I guess, rather than SQL commands. There's another option, and that is this thing here, DB Browser. Now, DB Browser is a piece of shareware software that probably has a better interface than the Visual Studio Code extension, so you can take your pick, maybe try both of them, see which one you like. But the intention is for both of them the same. It lets you manipulate databases without using the command line, basically. So that's the idea. So we need to install that. So I would go ahead, you guys, and install it. I've already installed it, nothing really to learn there. And then we need to create a table. Okay, so once we have gotten our extension installed, then really what we need to do is create a table, and we do that with an SQLite command. So let's jump in and do that. We'll go over to here. I'm going to right click here and just open an integrated terminal. So we're on the right folder. So I've created a level5b folder here. And first things first, before we even create the table, let's go and have a look at SQLite 3. So if you type in SQLite 3, press enter, you'll get this header. You should be on like version 3.4 something or other, depending on where you install Python, but 3.4, 3.3 should be fine. If you go .help here, help, you'll see a whole bunch of commands. These are all the commands that are valid under SQLite 3. I have no idea what 99% of them do, but we're going to use them to help us to create tables, manipulate databases, etc. And one of the commands that's here is .exit. So we know that to get out of here, if we go .exit, you'll notice that all of the commands start with a dot. So .exit should jump us out of there. That's fine. All right, so what we want is we actually create a table with this command. So SQLite 3 and then just the table name. So we need to do that. So if we come over here, just bump up the size of the font a little bit maybe and get rid of that. All right, so if we go SQLite 3 and then my DB SQL, yeah, having a little trouble here. Okay, SQLite 3 and then my DB space .db, press enter. Then what you'll find is that it's going to put you into this, what would you call it? This interface again. But if you were to go back and have a look at the files, you'll see that it's actually created a file. In fact, what we might do is just jump out, .exit. I think it's created an empty file. Let me just check. No, it doesn't. We actually have to put something in it. So let's try that again. Okay, so we now have our database or container of tables there. And okay, I've set up my screen a little better now. So our command is going to be something like this. So create table is an SQL command. It's one that you should look up. I'm not going to do it in this video. There's plenty of tutorials on it. Have a look at W3 Schools. But basically, create table is the SQL command. My table is going to be the name of the table that we create. First col is going to be the name of the column, first column in the table. Text is the type of column or type of data that's stored in that column, and not null is saying that it can't be empty. So we should be able to take that command, Control C, and put it into our, and see what happens. And supposedly it's worked. At this stage we might exit now, .exit, sorry, and ls. And now you can see it's actually created a file here. So this file actually contains that table we just created. Now, once we've gotten to that stage, we might just go back to this view, I think, zoom out a little, and have a look at what's happened. So what we've got now is this file here. If I click on it, it opens up, it actually knows how to view this file, and that's because of that extension that we loaded earlier. And you can see, well, it's a awkward, an awkward visualization of a database table, but it actually does the job, and it would actually let you update the table itself. So if I do a commit here, it's actually going to put this value in the table. So I've actually added a row to my table. You can do a whole bunch of other things from here. Obviously, you can select, insert, so on and so forth. You can practice your SQL statements, make sure they're right before putting them into code. But we have made progress. We've actually created a database. We have actually put a table in that database, and we've opened it and inserted some data in that table. So this is a good start. Important to note is you can see here that it's generated the, hopefully you can see that, it's generated the SQL statements for you. These are pretty much the statements that you can just grab and put straight into your program later on in subsequent steps. But for the time being, we have gotten where we need to be, which is we've created a database, and we are now ready to start using that database within our code. So level 5c will be bringing everything together, bringing this new database together along with our FLASK application and updating that database from our FLASK application. So I'll see you in the next video.